All right. So today I'm gonna show you guys how to break any habit. All right. And it's kind of ironic that I'm smoking weed right now. While I tell you guys how to do that, I could risk you guys skipping out of the video. But what I'm gonna show you guys today is based on research. And the thing is, not every habit is bad. It just depends on whether or not it's affecting your life. So I'm gonna show you guys how to break your habit in under 10 minutes based on scientific research. Now, why am I qualified? Well, for one, I worked in counseling with children and I was helping them quit habits. I even had a YouTube channel many years ago on how to quit addictions, how to quit habits. Because when I went to school, I specialized in addiction work. So one of the things that we learned is that there is a method to quit. And usually the most important thing when it comes to quitting any habit, and it truly does depend on the intensity, right? Some habits are superficial. Some habits are superficial, like the habit of overeating or even having one drink at night, right? Could be superficial. And you could break those habits by maybe trying to become more muscular, trying to get in shape, trying to lose weight. Superficial desires can sometimes lead you to quit habits, right? So if you want to stop eating fast food, sometimes a desire to lose weight will cause you to lose that habit of eating fast food. Like I've broken habits just because I wanted to lose weight. So that's the first thing. It truly does depend on the intensity, right? But for the more intense habits that are very difficult to break, this is the video for you, okay? So the first thing you have to understand is that you want to quit socially. You most likely started doing your habit, started those bad habits in a social situation. Maybe you started smoking weed, doing crack, right? Or even you started biting your nails. Maybe that wasn't socially, but most habits are done in a social setting, right? So because you're a social animal, the best way to quit any habit is to put yourself in a culture where they don't do that habit. Put yourself around people who are one, trying to quit, or two, have quit. And what that does is that because you are a social animal, you have something called mirror neurons, where you imitate what people do around you. So if you notice, most of the people in the same area have the same habits, consume the same drugs because they see other people do it, right? So what you want to do is find a group of people who are trying to quit. So for example, if you're trying to quit any drug habit, there's negative stigma behind AA, right? There is a lot of negative stigma, but those are people who are trying to quit habits. And they literally give you someone who literally becomes like your personal counselor for free. And they've quit. Literally, like any habit, sex habit, crack habit, heroin habit, any type of habit could be broken by going to support groups, right? So it could be emotional support groups, breakup support groups, Narcotics Anonymous, sexaholics, right? If you, well, some people go there to get freaks, right? Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Anyways, so find a social setting to quit your habit and you will notice it. Why? Because if you're trying to quit any habit and the people around you do that habit, it's going to be hard. Because if everyone around you, for example, smokes weed and you're trying to quit, it's going to be difficult. I have a friend, my friend John, who actually quit smoking weed and he still hangs out with us, which is, I'll be honest with you, it's kind of incredible, right? So remember, do it in a social setting because when you are alone, your thoughts intensified. Most people develop drug habits during COVID. Why? Because they were alone. When you are alone, your worst self comes out because a lot of people don't know how to cope with being alone. So get around people, be social, because a lot of times, a lot of you guys are alone. So quitting your habits by yourself is really difficult. I'm telling you, you are always strongest with other people. So remember that. My number one rule is if you're trying to quit, for example, if you're trying to quit, watching too much computer or being on the computer for too much, hang around people who are minimalists. There are minimalist groups. Hang around people or go to a meditation retreat, right? Where people are there and they're not on their phones, right? So use the social force. I like to call it the social force. The most powerful way to change you is literally other people who are different than you. it becomes your inspiration, and you literally feel more willpower. For example, if you want to meditate more, meditate with other people. You will literally meditate more. If you want to draw more, draw with other people. You will literally draw more. If you want to do more drugs, literally go around people who do drugs, and your brain will normalize doing drugs. If you want to stop doing drugs, hang around people who don't do drugs, and your brain will normalize not doing drugs. What's normal is depending on your environment. So if everything around you says normalize this habit, your brain will find it comforting. But if everyone around you doesn't normalize it, and you're there to quit, trust me, it's gonna feel like it's almost like you're creating a spirit bomb where you're getting all the energy around you so that it can help you quit. It's really powerful. That's the first one. Quit social. So something that you could do is that you don't have to join a group. You could just get a therapist. And that therapist will help you. You talk about it, right? Literally talking to people about it helps you with it. The next thing is decide to do it. The decision to quit and having a date when you want to quit is important. So maybe don't lie to yourself. Maybe you don't want to quit now. Okay, that's fine. Well, find a date that symbolizes newness. For example, on a Monday. For example, on New Year's. For example, the beginning of the month. Or for example, your birthday. Anything that says new or switching, that symbolizes that, you could use that to trick your brain to start a new leaf. So it's always good to start on the New Year's, Monday, new day, birthday, all that kind of stuff. Because then if you decide, what creates cravings is having the possibility of doing that thing in the future. So if you're trying to stop doing crack, for example, and you say, I'll stop doing crack, and you throw away all your drugs, but then you leave the number of your dealer, right? Secretly, you don't want to delete it. And when you think about deleting it, you notice, you say to yourself, I don't want to do it. What if I need it in the future? Anyone who's done drugs know what I'm talking about. So you do everything but delete the number. That's your unconscious or your ego's way of creating a little space for going back. Close all the doors. You have to close them all. Any possibility of doing in the future will release dopamine, right? I think it was, I wrote it right here. Whatever, I wrote it right here. Will release dopamine. And that dopamine is not meant to create cravings. Remember, dopamine is not about creating craving. Dopamine is all about acting. When you think about potentially doing that drug in the future, remember, you're not doing it. And because you're giving yourself a date to do it again unconsciously by leaving the number or by leaving the door open to that friend that maybe gets you to use, you're literally creating cravings, man. Literally. You could literally say, I'm gonna quit, and today today you decide to quit. A friend offers you to smoke later that night, and you'll literally feel craving. Craving happens when there's a possibility in the future. Craving, it dissolves when there's no possibility. And that comes from your decision. You literally have to say, I am never gonna do it again, and literally remove any possibility. Literally say to yourself, I'm never gonna do it. And if you leave any open door to the past by leaving, like I said, numbers or contacts or staying friends with people who are pressuring you to do that, you're gonna go back. You have to say to yourself, it's never gonna happen ever again. And how you're gonna get to that point, you find out, but you decide first, okay? So remember that. So once you decide, and you get yourself around other people who have decided to quit as well, your willpower increases. Your willpower increases, and not just that, the cravings go away. I'm telling you, the cravings go away when your decision is final and there's no possibility of doing it again. So the next thing you want to do is depend on a higher power. So once you decide to quit, once you get around people who are helping you quit and have quit that habit, now you got to develop that willpower. And usually you don't have that willpower. Actually, you don't. The first thing you have to admit that you are weak. Listen to me, man. You have to understand that you're weak and that you have a high likelihood of returning to that habit. It's a natural thing. And you thinking that you don't need somebody to help you with it, you assuming that you could do it on your own, that's what's literally gonna cause you to go back to the habit, because you could quit a habit. And because you believe it's over, you believe the cravings are gone. 1 or 2 months later, all of a sudden, you feel weak. All of a sudden, something bad happens. And because you never closed that door off, because you think you were so strong that the cravings come back and you weren't prepared. Why weren't you prepared? Because you thought you had it. So you stopped hanging around people who help you quit. You stopped understanding and remembering why you quit. Like you literally just think that it's over. No, this is a lot of times it's a lifetime thing. So you always remember you are weak. There's a high likelihood you will go back to your old habit. So because of that, you have to take precaution. So one of the things that you do is one, like I said, hang around people that quit those habits and keep hanging around them. And two, depend on a higher power. Understand that you're weak and say to yourself, God, the universe, I surrender to you. There's something about understanding that you don't have the power, but asking something greater than yourself to help you. Literally, whatever you believe that higher self, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Where if you hand over your willpower to something greater, it'll happen. For example, with me, I don't believe in myself, but I believe in my brain. So even though I don't believe I could achieve a goal, I know that my brain is smarter than me. My brain has more capacity than I believe it has. So if you just say, I'm gonna do this, I don't know how, I'm gonna trust my brain, but I'm gonna do this. There's something magical that happens that literally willpower spawns out of nowhere. Or if you believe in God, you pray to God, God help me, and trust and have faith in Him, and you will literally feel the willpower. You could believe in the universe. You can say to the universe, help me. And if you believe it, you will literally feel the universe help you. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. But the key is to understand that you're weak, that you can't do this on your own. So you need others, and you need another form of higher power, right? So that's the next thing. The next thing that you could do to increase your capacity to quit and break any habit is to increase your executive function. Your executive function is literally the white matter in your frontal cortex. You want to increase the matter and decrease the size of your amygdala, or decrease the activity of your amygdala. The only thing that has been proven to decrease the activity of the amygdala, increase executive function, in other words, your willpower, is meditation. I recommend you guys go to what they call Vipassana. A Vipassana retreat, you can go to dharma.org, and then you can sign up for a free meditation retreat. It's literally free for 10 days in isolation around people who are meditating, around people who don't have your habits, and you'll literally absorb their energy. You legit have people who are enlightened there. The teachers are fucking crazy. And there, it'll teach you how to meditate and thus increase your executive function. And especially since you're doing it with other people. People have quit drug habits through going to those meditation retreats. I've known people who quit heroin through these types of meditation retreats. People who went from avoiding attachment style to secure attachment style, going to these types of retreats. People who have quit habits or even eating and being vegetarian. Like people literally become vegetarian when they go to these retreats because they're around vegetarians, they're eating vegetarians, and they're meditating on the fact that everything is alive, it doesn't deserve suffering. It literally changes you from within. And so any habit that you have that it's negative, in any of those retreats, you could break them if you make that your intention, right? So remember, you got to meditate on a consistent basis. Meditation allows you to literally have the willpower to say no to things. You're literally saying to your body, don't move. That's like a form of willpower. So now if you want to do this, it's much easier. You know how to do nothing, and as a result, you know how to do anything, because that's literally controlling your body. You literally sit and don't move. That's literally self-control. Like you feel every impulse to think of something else, to move. You're working on the muscle that says, I'm gonna do this, literally, right? So that's one thing. The next thing that you want to do is, I want you guys to practice. Go to Google and find something called the Dickens pattern. Dickens pattern. The Dickens pattern is an NLP technique that allows you to project yourself into the future and see the consequences of your negative habits. So you sit down and you imagine going 1 year, 1 month, 3 months, 6, 1 year, 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, until you die. Imagine your whole life not quitting that habit. And you imagine yourself looking at yourself in the future, seeing yourself and saying, fuck, I still haven't quit. God damn, it's been 3 months and I haven't quit. And then imagine, are your finances better? Do you look happier? Do you look more in shape? Do you look with more energy? How's your relationship with your family? How's your relationship with yourself? Is your self-esteem high or low? Where are you living? Is it nice? Is it a downgrade? Did you lose your house? See everything, all of the negative of doing that habit. And then do the same thing for 3 or 4, 5 months, 1 year, right? You just keep doing that same, like, almost like self-reflection in the mirror. And then you go into the end of your life and you imagine yourself being in bed, not quitting that habit. You lived all of these years and you couldn't quit. How was your life? Was that habit worth living your whole life for? So then you imagine you're back in the future. You open your eyes, you breathe to break state, and then you go back and do that same thing. But now you're actually gonna quit that habit. Imagine 1 month of quitting that habit, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years of quitting that habit. And each time you go through each of those times, you see yourself in the mirror and you see, are you happier? Do you have more money? Are you more in shape? Do you feel better about yourself? Do people like you more? Where are you? Have you moved to a new place? Is your house bigger? Is your room bigger? Who's living around you? Maybe you got yourself a partner. Imagine like all of those consequences that are positive of quitting that habit up until your whole life. And then compare both of those destinations. Imagine how it looked living your whole life without quitting, and then imagine how it looked living your whole life quitting, and choose which one you want. And that meditation, which you just go to YouTube and put Dickens pattern, you will find it. Well, I think Tony Robbins teaches it. And you could just literally go through, it's like 10 minutes. And do that every day for that negative habit. And that will literally help you quit whatever habit that you have. Because what you do is that you start to associate pain and pleasure. Pain with doing that habit and pleasure with quitting through those visualizations. The next technique I want you guys to use is the swish method. The swish method is literally imagining doing that habit and then imagining another image of you quitting. So I want you to imagine the image of you, like the image that makes you crave that habit, right? It's right in front of you. You're looking at it. And then imagine the image that you want to do of quitting. So imagine then that you have a slingshot. And this is going to come and break through the old image of you doing that habit. And now all you're going to see is the positive image of you quitting and you being happy. So you just imagine this and you just swish, boom. And then you see the positive habit and you see the negative habit like breaking. And then you open your eyes, you do it again. You see the negative habit in your mind. You see yourself doing that habit as a picture. And then you go switch, and then you imagine the positive habit literally break through the negative habit, and it's nice and shiny, and you just imagine it and you see it in your mind. You open your eyes again and you do it again 10 times. Each time faster, 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 faster. What happens is that you literally start to rewire your brain to stop seeing the habit of doing and seeing the pleasure of doing that habit, and just see the desire to quit. This has been shown to break negative habits, to break, what do you call that? Compulsive habits. Anyways, that technique has been shown to be able to stop any habit that anyone has, right? As long as you do it every day, consistently for about 30 days, you'll notice. For example, I did this to help me go to the gym more, where my initial thought of going to the gym was like, oh, fuck, I hate it. So I imagined myself hating it. I imagined myself loving it. Right? And I just imagined an image of me going to the gym and liking it. It was nice and bright. And I just went like that. Poof, I see the image of me being happy in the gym. Breathe again. See the image of that I usually see of me not being happy at the gym. I go, poof, and then I just switch it for the image of being happy. Literally creates desire to go to the gym. Literally creates it. It makes any reality that you don't like or find boring because you don't want to quit that habit look a better alternative. That is the power of the swish method, right? So remember, you want to have the decision to quit and make sure that it's forever. Any doubt of whether or not you're going to go back, you'll go back. Quit in a social way. Make sure you do it with other people. So that means going to support groups that help you quit. For example, AA, if it's drugs and alcohol, emotional support groups, or just go to Google and find a group around you that doesn't have those habits, right? The next thing is meditate to increase executive function, right? And if you want to learn how to meditate, check out the Vipassana 10-day free meditation retreat by going to dharma.org. And remember, use reverse social pressure. Use other people who have quit as strength. Hang around them as much as possible. They will help you quit any habit. It's been proven. You're a social animal. That's how cultures are created. People create habits out of imitation. People quit habits out of imitation, right? And if you want to strengthen this, you want to use the Dickens pattern on a daily basis, just go to YouTube and put Dickens pattern, Tony Robbins, and it'll show you guys how to do that. And then if you want to also use the swish method to inspire you and give you the desire to quit. And this is how you use it, people. These things, you have to want it. You know, if you don't really want it, you're not going to quit. It's just that simple, right? So yeah, anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Take care.